Ideas, classical ones in part 1, medieval ideas and early modern challenges in part 2. Where is my mind? This is part 3. First, a review, the quest for knowledge, beginning in the chains of ignorance. These projected shadows are all we know, but we break free and learn the source, the deception, and more. We struggle out of the cave and into the daylight. Reality, not illusion. Forms, not particulars. Universal truth, not mere opinion. Whether you are Theseus escaping the labyrinth, or a young professional making a salad, or a person looking at a classroom party, you need to use your head, not lose it. Or how about cosmology? The past 500 years have been an exciting time to be the center of the universe. You have gone from the Earth to the Sun to nowhere. Stable orbits with crystalline spheres. Keep the orbits, but switch to an invisible long-range force. Keep the force, but ditch the stability. The question is how to stay connected. Medieval thinkers took this for granted. Others aren't so sure. The rationalists have faith that correct ideas exist in the mind, but they are skeptical about how these forms can be recovered by the senses. The empiricists think that they can be, but are less confident in what the mind will make of them. After all, theory and measurement never completely agree. For example, it's the mid-1800s and this planet is in trouble. A disturbance in the force. No, trust your equations. Neptune's existence is predicted. Neptune is felt before it is seen. 1 point for the rationalists. You see what I'm saying? The equation was correct. The observed number of planets was wrong. Trust the equations. Closer to home. Mercury's orbit is also weird. Will the hidden planet trick work again? One was suspected, even named, but no, this time it's the equation, not the solar system, that needs to be changed. 1 point for the empiricists, and their point is that if even Newton's gravity, the most successful, most confirmed theory in all history, can be wrong, then any idea is suspect. No right answers, no settled answers, only better and more precise questions. Can't there be a way to get these two sides together? What two sides? Analytic propositions, true by definition, bachelors are married, and a priori facts, knowable without experience. There are infinitely many positive integers, with synthetic propositions, which provide additional information. Spinach is on sale this week, and a posteriori facts, knowable through experience. I like the way spinach tastes. Can't think of another category. Well, how about this one, which adds new information, but is knowable without experience? Categories necessary for experience, but that do not come from experience. Let's take those categories. Dancing. Categories such as space and time, causation, and motion must apply. If this scene is to be observable, they must apply. No popping in and out of existence. Aristotle had a list. Kant has a grid. Let's map it out. Quantity, matter, one class or one individual or several individuals or all of them in total. If a description is possible, then according to Kant, we are looking at the scene in one of these three ways. Another example, the music, the beat. One beat can be analyzed. Several beats could also. Or you could look at the totality of the song's rhythm, quality, form. Real, actual dancing, not panicked outbursts, but an intentional activity recognizable as dancing, which means it's not something else, not, for example, learning, which raises an issue because this is a school and not a dance club. It must be a special occasion, and we'll pause here with 6 different people, 3 different conversations about what is happening here. Those dance moves are lit. You mean lame. They should be studying. I disagree. This is a great opportunity for social emotional learning. Look how happy they are. This must have been their favorite class. Yeah, maybe they're just happy it's over. Kant's point is not that you should think one way and not another way, but that you do. You must. Your thought, if it is thought, must fall into one of his categories. Relation, efficient cause, a type or category of movements, i.e. aligned to the music. It's the beat. That's what explains the motions. We can test it. Faster, slower, start, stop. The motions are therefore coordinated, united, reciprocal, action, modality, final cause. What range of end-of-year ceremonies and emotions are possible? Observations, then, of what is actually happening, because this is not any class or any year. It is a particular class, and given that the class is this class, and that the day is this day, and that the song is that song, this reaction is understandable, explainable, expected, even necessary. Got to dance. I hope I got that close. And yeah, I see you guys, but don't get too comfortable. This is not a modification of Aristotle. It is an entirely different project, not looking at what is happening, but at the very types of experiences that are possible. No longer changing this to match what we find here. That was the old way of doing things. Now we are changing this based on the requirements found here. Can't be serious? Well, let's hear it in his own words. It has hitherto been assumed that our cognition must conform to the objects, i.e. that the goal of thinking was to change your mind to get it to match reality. But that hasn't worked out too well, apparently, according to Kant. So instead, let's assume that the objects must conform to our cognition, i.e. get squeezed into a category. In other words, he's doing just what Copernicus did in attempting to explain the cosmos, a radical recentering. And Kant succeeded in uniting the definitely knowable with the can-be learnable, but it came at a cost, separating the observable from the things, the real things in themselves. There's no way around it. If the phenomenal world is necessarily trimmed to fit the categories, then it is necessarily not the same as the noumenal reality. That reality is not only not known, but utterly unknowable. Kant was not shy about this conclusion. So now, these parts of the square are good, but those parts aren't. Quick, everybody choose a part of the synthesis and ignore it. Or maybe Kant is an even a new low, a retreat back into the cave with the entrance permanently blocked. Don't lose hope. Quine has an idea on how to keep these things connected. With connections. A lot of them, a web of them. Maybe these guys really aren't that different after all. Just two sides of the same coin. Consider this question. Now, Quine mentioned kind of not really the same thing, kind of the same thing. Well, read the paper for yourself. It's a whole lot better than reading Kant. Anyway, here's the question. Do animals with a heart also have kidneys? Yes! Finally, a question we can answer. But what is that? Is it a series of observations and induction, or is it a deduction based on reason, based on the definition, based on what a heart and a kidney, what kidneys are? Well, obviously, it's both. Quine suggests not two tracks, but a web, a flexible, adaptive, linking web that links data with theory. That's how to see what happened in the solar system 100 years ago, 200 years ago. New data, refined theories, small steps, great leaps, just like it is in the classroom. The beat goes on. Connections are strengthened, stretched, reorganized. A moderate position. The bridge is stronger if it flexes to distribute the load, or a radical suggestion that any data can be made compatible with any theory given enough modifications around the web, around the edges. Wait a minute. A system adaptable enough to match any idea with any fact? That sounds... oh dear. But we may have an answer to our question. Where is my mind? It's trapped in a web, unable to move because there's no firm ground. Anything could change, locked in a cave, looking at its own thoughts, unable to make contact with the real world. All you can really know is your own opinion. Worse, your own opinion about your own opinion. Way too dangerous. That's what Frigg told her husband Odin when he decided to visit the giant Vafthrûnir. But he went anyway, straight into a battle of wits. Kind of like the one from this scene, only not nearly as funny. Questioning big topics. The giant goes first. Speak there from the floor if you would make your wisdom known. Who pulls the sun? Who pulls the moon across the sky? Odin answers, and then it's his turn to ask the questions. Much have I wandered. Much have I found out. Tell me about the beginning and the fate of the world and the gods. Finally, Odin wins the contest with this question. Much have I wandered, much have I found out. Tell me this. What did I whisper into my dead son's ear when he was put on the funeral pyre? And the point I'm trying to make here is that some facts are so general. The sun rises, apples fall, so general that they hardly count as knowledge. Other facts are so personal that they can never be adequately expressed. Fair enough. So maybe we ought to stay in our caves. For those who dare to know, the stakes are high. Interrogating the world, or a giant, to learn its secrets is not idle talk. You cannot show up unprepared. You will eventually be proved wrong. However, like Theseus in the labyrinth, you are not unarmed or unaided or alone. Those having torches will pass them on to others. And although the quest for knowledge or self-knowledge is so difficult as to be daunting, it only feels isolating, for the incremental progress is cumulative, even progressive, not circular, which means that despite what Vafthrûnir tells Odin, we do not know how this story will end.